Okay, you can go now.
Good evening, everybody, and again, a big cake we foil to Pallasgrean. And on behalf of Pallasgrean and Temperate Historical Society, it's my great pleasure and privilege to welcome John Connors, who's going to deliver our talk this evening on Sean Hogan, the life and times of the young man rescued in Knocklong. And I know that you're all familiar to some degree with the story, but we're looking forward very much this evening to going behind the scenes. And John has done extensive research on the life of Sean Hogan and indeed his contemporaries. And John himself is an historian from Bursley in County Tipperary, a man of many talents, as you can see on the little piece which I have circulated here. His main area of interest would be the period 1913 to 1923, with a particular interest in Tipperary and East Limerick. John is no stranger at all to any of this area, given that he is co-founder of the group Tipperary in a Decade of Revolution. And another string to his bow, one of his many talents, is that he is founder of Tipperary War of Independence Tours. And again, you can see the details here. So John is well ready to give our talk this evening. A very special word of welcome and thanks also to Eddie Stapleton, who has put the technology at our disposal and who has gotten us all up and working and ready to go for this evening's talk. And so, again, welcome to John, and we're very much looking forward to what I know will be an excellent talk.
Thanks very much, thanks for your kind introduction. I feel envious after that. Well, of course, thanks to yourselves for turning up to love to have an audience when we talk about the things we love to talk about. And indeed, you know, all my life I had huge history, that period in history, 1913 to 1923, that 10 years. Now, Siobhan mentioned and the thing that I was a co-founder of, along with a man called Sean Hogan. That man who goes on the television to give you the bad weather, or tells you how to kind yourself in the bad weather. And another man called John Flannery. We founded this little group, Tipperary in a Decade of Revolution. And through various means, you know, lectures, talks, tours, pageantry, so on, to try and bring that period of history to people, you know, and you know, in a format that people can enjoy and understand. And I suppose the thing I will emphasise about that group is that we're historians, we're non-political, you know. What I come to do is tell the story of what's happened. Let yourselves then make up your mind who were the good guys, who were the bad guys, you know. But I'll tell you the story anyway. And tonight I'm going to tell you the story of a man called Sean Hogan. I'm sure many of you have heard the band probably sung it close at time, the rescue of Sean Hogan at the station of Knocklong. If you sung it anywhere in the public close, just think of this. It was in late 1919, a number of men were arrested in Tipperary town for illegal drilling and were taken to Cork prison. And they were taken back to the court in Tipperary town. And Inspector Gleeson was given evidence. And on one of these fellas, a party drive, he found a balance sheet. And he said, the words he says, so violent, he says, then he says, a live witness, he says, so violence written by the hand of man. That was the man at the station of Knocklong. So that's what one man thought for one time anyway. So, anyway, I'm here to talk about Sean Hogan, his life and times. I suppose he was one of the April participants at the ambush at Solihull Beg when the first shots of the War of Independence were fired. And I suppose we know him for being rescued off a train at Knocklong railway station. And after that then, what do we really know about him? You know? And I would say maybe most people probably know very little about the man. You know? So I'll maybe fill a few of those gaps here tonight. One of Tipperary's big four, they became referred to after. And you see here, Seamus Robinson, Sean Tracy, Dan Green and Sean Hogan. You know, and I suppose, what do we know about these fellas? We know quite a bit about Seamus Robinson. For example, he took the anti-treaty side in the Civil War. He was the OC of the 3rd Tipperary Brigade, it was, which I suppose led to a degree of acrimony and disagreement between himself and Dan Green in later life. You know, he was a senator, a Fianna Fáil senator. He was one of the founders of the Bureau of Military History. And he was also a referee in the pensions board. And when you go through the military pensions, like you can come across as, John, maybe not the most pleasant of characters, certainly not the most sympathetic. It is the difference with Dan Breen. He commenced a campaign of letter writing to the papers, you know. The dispute was that people in West Tipperary, they began to speak about Dan Breen as the leader of the IRA in Tipperary during the War of Independence. And Robinson countered this with most of it letters to the papers. And so many of these were libelous that they never found a way to print. But you know, files have become available in later years, and you can see these. Sean Tracy, I suppose, buried in Kilfeacle, shot in Target Street in Dublin in October of 1920, the lost leader, the great organiser, the great motivator. There's some interesting stuff about Tracy in 1916 when the counter command came, and came to Pierce McCann in Duala. Brian McNeil and O'Reilly, they came to McCann. McCann, he went out to different places, and he met Tracy, and he sent Tracy. Then went out to a place like Ballylanders in Galbally. And a woman called Mary Ann Manahan that lives down in Cork, her father was Lee Manahan, he was the first commander of the Galtee Battalion. I talked to Mary Ann Manahan, and she told me that when Tracy came into Ballylanders, he met Lee Manahan, and with the counter command that there was going to be no insurrection. And Manahan said to me, he said, "Where are you off to now?" He says, "I don't know," he said, but he said, if I had my way, he says, I'd go to Cork, he says, and I'd burn every Peel's barracks on the way. So that was the man's mindset, you know. Dan Breen, he wrote My Fight for Irish Freedom. He was one of the first to give an account of that period in writing. He didn't actually write the book. It was written by a woman called Kissy Doherty, and it was written, he told his story to Mrs. Doherty on a train journey from Chicago to New York, and she penned it down. I suppose you could look back maybe, you know, some of it would be the style of writing that would be familiar to that time. And some of them, I suppose you could say, certainly to be a degree of exaggeration, embellishment in the truth of it. And last man then Sean Hogan, what's known about him. So that's why I'm here tonight, probably to fit, as it were, to fill those gaps. He was known for being a Solihull bag. The rescue left the train at Down Railway Station. Do you know how they end up there? What did he do during the War of Independence? You know, many people are familiar with that. What became him in later life? What activity did he take part in the Civil War? You know, none of this is very much known. And my own connection then, he was arrested at Matters of Anfield, which would be very close to where I come from in Borsley. And his connection to here, I have a few stories for you about, especially during the Civil War, his connection to Pallasgrean. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Hogan's background, you know, Bishop Solihull Beg, his arrest and rescue, his time with Collins and Squad in Dublin, as officer commanding the number 2 flying column, Dinny Lacer commanded the 1st flying column, a little time about his time in America with Dan Breen and Ned O'Brien, the Civil War, and then his later life. His later life he lived out at Bay, Selbridge and in Dublin, and a bit then about his final years. So Hogan was born about 2 miles, mile and a half or 2 miles north of the Dundrum side of Tipperary town. Green Ant, Stewhawn is actually the name of the place. His parents, Matthew and Johanna Hogan, she was Johanna Corbett from Denoa, Newtown in Denoa. There was a belief that Hogan's father, Matthew, was a justice of the peace. Now, to the records of the petty sessions or ranking, I haven't come across that, I haven't, but family members said that he was. But he was a member of the Board of Guards in Tipperary town. One younger brother, Matthew. Just a little bit about that. Sean Hogan's family was a little bit unconventional, I suppose, at the time. That Johanna Corbett, she came there to work as a housekeeper, and Sean Hogan and Matthew Hogan were the product of a relationship, and they didn't get married to later life, and kind of a whole sort of but to make on another area built up around that, like especially when Hogan went looking for his pension. It was the registered Corrapore National School. Corrapore is in the village of Donegal. Hogan went first to school in Green Island, and you can see there his townland is listed as Leasheen, and he was promoted. And I've heard stories about him, especially people up around Kilcommon, where when they were after an incident at a railway station in Goose Cross. Himself, Tracy Robinson, they stood up around Kilcommon with Hanleys and Ryan Lowes. And another all Mrs. Ryan Lowes you tell me about, like that Robinson and Tracy, they were kind of devil may care sort of thing, but it said Hogan was a young kind of a serious kind of young, you know. So and he was very much into literature and reading and such like. Now here's the first connection with your parish of Pallasgrean. His influences. Father Matt Ryan. Father Matt Ryan was here now. This is where I get the information. I'm sure between Pallas and Old Pallas, I believe, that area. Father Matt Ryan, he could command a day's lecture on his own. A very colourful character. He was a vice president of Sinn Féin, vice president of the Gaelic League and the Land League, and he was very much involved in the Land League. In the Pala campaign in 1896 or 97, I'm not sure, a Moroni, a farmer out in Herberstown, he withheld the rent of his property from Captain O'Grady, and he offered O'Grady what he termed would be a fair rent, and O'Grady rejected that. And instead of giving the money to O'Grady, he gave it to Father Matt Ryan, because Father Matt Ryan was vice president of the Land League. And when Father Matt Ryan went to Captain O'Grady to make an intervention on Moroni's behalf, the captain spoke down kind of condescendingly to him, and he said, you know, he didn't say Father Ryan, he said, you know, my good fellow, he said, you're speaking, he said, with Captain O'Grady. And Father Matt Ryan was refused and said, well, he said, if you're a captain, he says, from here on out, you can take it, I'm your general. And he was always known to general after that, he was, out of that incident. The shooting of two RSC men by Mick Callahan out in Manower, out near Kilross, in 1916. Little enough is known about that. The Tuesday of Easter week, a meeting was called in the Workman's Club in Tipperary town to know what would the volunteers do in relation to the rising. And when O'Callaghan was leaving the meeting, he was set upon by a mob of separation with us, and off Jewish British soldiers. And he pulled a revolver and he fired a shot to disperse the crowd. And his parents were living in Henry Street. Callaghan was a crane manager in Latin, in one of these gravers. And he made his way to his home, the home of his parents in Henry Street, or O'Brien Street in Tipperary. And when he was there, the police kept to arrest him. And he fired a shot through the door and he escaped out the back. And he went out to his cousin Peter Hennessy out in Manower. And when he was there the next morning, Sergeant Thomas Felix Rowe and Constable Jack Hurley, they came down from this man to arrest him. And the story was that they went into the kitchen and Rowe, the sergeant, he saluted Hennessy, and then he put his hand on Callaghan's shoulder and he said, "Over here, my good man." And he said, "Could I see your identification?" And Callaghan put his hand inside his coat pocket, and instead of putting out identification, he put out a revolver. And he said, Sporter said, "This is the only identification I have today with the good fellow." And in the melee that followed, Rourke was shot in the stomach. He actually lived for quite a while, he did. And this is how we know a lot of this stuff. He gave a deposition of what actually did happen, he did. Hurley was feared for his life and he took flight, and Callaghan, his blood was dying at this stage, and he ran after him, he did. De Valera came to visit in 1917 after the by-election. And the volunteers in Tipperary, under the command of Sean Tracy, they organised as if it were a bodyguard for De Valera in the sports field in Tipperary, and Hogan was central to that. And the election of PJ Maloney as a Sinn Féin TD, all these fellas, I always say they worked as personating agents, you know, as election agents, getting people out to vote. And as a fellow said in the one time, he says, and if an extra vote was required, went to try about voting the second time, you know. Eamon Dwyer Balloch had a huge influence on Tracy on Hogan, after Hogan's father died. Dwyer started a project in Kilshannon, which would be over between Knockavilla and Gordon. And he started this project to require a home base to train volunteers, and he took in Hogan just after 1916 he did. Now, the plan to seize the load of explosives coming from Tipperary town to the quarry in Sandhead Bay, and those plans were made in a shed on Hogan, not Sean Hogan's, but cousins of his, Hogan's Bar Villan, as we call him. A tin hut, what's called a tin hut at Hogan's Farm, that'd be near Sandhead Bay, a place called Shanballymore. Hogan was part of that group, he was, and you know, the stories were handed down to the families of Sean Hogan would be there with these fellas making these plans, and the mother, Johanna, should send the younger brother, Matcher, out with billy cans of tea and cake bread to feed these fellas. And I saw a bit there, it's amazing what comes to light all the time. I saw a little bit there that Tracy Hogan, the grandson of Sean Hogan. But Sean Hogan wrote about how when they were waiting for this, you know, it happened on the 21st of January, but that only happened because the patrol came the convoy of explosives came that day. It could have happened any other day for that matter. But every day that they waited in the cold, they ate raw onions to keep themselves warm. And I saw that, you know, Sean Hogan's one right, you know. Sensation when two RSC men are killed. A huge sensation. Constable James MacDonald and Patrick O'Connor were killed in that. Just going to go through these things, like, you know, as the way things can be presented. But just as an aside on that, you know, if you read some of the papers, like, you know, journalists with a certain viewpoint, they say how popular these fellas were. But now, I've come across RSC men who've been pretty much reviled. If you look through their list of prosecutions in the petty sessions, like, they might have maybe a dozen, you know, it's a stretch. But the good Constable James MacDonald, this benign constable, like, yes, I kind of lost count something after 280. You know, he wasn't too shy about taking vagrants to court, or you know, asses straying or pigs wandering or that kind of thing, you know. So I don't ever see the popular man that might be made out to be. But however, the story too, you know, that where those policemen called him to surrender, or weren't they? Dan Breeze said they weren't, you know, that the plan was to start the war. You know, who knows? Tim Crowe said that he was detailed to take whatever prisoners might be fought, you know. So, like, why would you be detailed to take prisoners if the plan was to take no prisoners? We just don't know. Like years of print and gallons of ink have been spent writing about this, but this all happened in the space of seconds, minutes, you know. Coincided with the day that the first storm met, by chance, not by design. A huge police investigation. You know, this was sensational. It was huge, you know, it was. They did something that had a huge effect on the locality. Now, Hogan's brother, Matthew, was taken into custody, and a namesake of my own, Jack Connors. Connors' father was working for Sean Tracy's mother, and they were taken into custody. Hogan was detained in Dublin Castle for a period of 9 weeks, and it raised a furious debate on the floor of the House of Commons. Now, you see, it was a McVeigh from Donegal and Daly from down there, with the MPs who raised it because they say there was no representatives in the House of Commons for this part of the country after the 1918 general election. So they left to those people, there was a furious debate, McVeigh he described it as the state abduction of 2 children. So £1,000 reward was offered, and the big four that go on the run. First of all, they walked to near Gold, Fitzgerald's or Rathclaheen. That was their first place. They went from there by various routes to Hogan's of Tincurry. Tincurry was down the far side of Kaya. Despite the reward in the support, the big four sheltered within 20 miles of Tipperary town, except for a period in the month of February when Sean Hogan, the Spanish flu was rampant at this time, and Sean Hogan took in, and he was taking himself from Brian. They went down to a place called Ahawilk, down to the house of Michael Kane in Ahawilk, and he took care of Hogan, nursed him back to health in February of that year. They refused the plan to send him to America. Tracy was summoned to Dublin, and Dick Mulcahy met him in a volunteer hall in Harcourt Street, and the plans were there to give these 4 fellas safe passage to America, and Tracy refused flat out. Now, there's something kind of I always think about that, but Tracy refused on behalf of all 4 of them. So sometimes the calibre of Hogan is taken into question, but Tracy didn't say, Robinson, Brian and myself, we're staying here, but you can take that Hogan to America with you. He didn't, So they refused that plan to go to America. When Callaghan shot the policeman in 1916, he was given safe passage to America. It was the tried and trusted form. Because these were capital offences, all of these things. Now, he attended a house dance in the name of the resident of Ballon. The purpose of the dance was to raise £6 to buy a revolver for Mick Daffron. Like anything that we're doing to raise funds, it would also maybe a personality or two there to attract the crowd. And the person